Welcome to the On Your Side podcast. I'm Susan Campbell, and today I am joined by my amazing guest host, Scott Pasmore. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be part of this.
This is so fun.
I've been watching these forever and always thought I'd like to be a part of that.
And here you are. So you are normally anchoring our morning show, and I got you into the podcast studio. You've done a few of these, pinch hitting for people. I'm excited to have you on the microphone.
I'm excited to talk about this subject because I'm really into this.
Yeah, so today we want to talk a little bit about social media and how much maybe good information is out there and all of the misinformation. How often do you scroll?
Every day.
Yeah.
A lot. And my thing outside of work is real estate, so I'm always looking at the real estate pages and people who have short-term rentals and how they gave up their day job and they make hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this and follow my plan and you can do the same. Or Section 8 housing. I was following this guy asking questions about that, and you never know what's real and what's not.
Well, and some of it can be so tempting because you do look
It's
at
all
these people
tempting.
and you're like, oh, that makes sense. You can kind of see how you get from A to B and you're like, that is awesome.
Because they're doing these videos sitting in there, oh, this is my new Lamborghini I just bought from all this money I made. You too can be the same.
So I know that you have not quit your day job because you're
Not
sitting
yet.
here with me and you're also not driving a Lamborghini to work. So you haven't maybe cashed in on some of the social media. What stops you in your tracks when you are looking at all
Just
these social
because
media things?
when it gets down to it, it's like, how real is this? I mean, I think I could do it. Do I need this person's help? Do they want money? You know, I was talking to this guy, or I just replied about. He was talking about Section 8 housing, how this great investment, and we went back and forth, and he wanted to do a Zoom call, and it might be legit. I don't know, but I'm like, well, what do you want from me in this? I mean, what do you have a fee or what? He never really answered that, but he wanted to know how much money I had to play with.
So the conversation kind of broke down a little bit.
I just didn't know.
So we want to really dig into this. Stephen Cades is joining us today from Bankrate. And Stephen, you have looked into all of this financial misinformation. Give us a sense of how much advice out there is actually good and what's just the viral garbage that could end up costing us.
Well, I'd say there's probably equal parts good and bad information out there. Unfortunately, the bad information has a much better marketing budget. And so you're just going to see much, much more of it than you will the good information. The people who are promoting really good financial advice, often financial advisors themselves, they don't have the kind of virality that these outrageous claims do. And so even though there's a lot of people out there giving really good advice, it's just a little harder to find.
What is the most outrageous claim you've seen in the space for financial advice? What is something you've seen that you've gone, oh my gosh, if anybody follows this, we are in for a disaster?
Well, I mean, there's probably a fair share of real estate related things out there. But I think the thing for me, and the ones that I pay attention to most are often stock market based or investing based. And there was quite a bit of that 2020, 2021, when the stock market was just going higher and we had a lot of companies like Zoom and Peloton that were, seemingly going parabolic. People were talking about, their stock picking. They were recommending that people follow their stock picking, pay for their classes and courses and other things like that. That might sound familiar to you about, in real estate, where there's a lot of sort of coursework seemingly offered by different entrepreneurs. And some of it was just horrific advice where, hey, just follow me. I only buy stocks when they go up and I sell them before they go down. Oh, well,
I love those crystal balls.
Yeah, I'm Stephen. I'm like you. I follow those guys too. And there'll be a guy walking along. I'm retired, but now I'm doing this for you. And if I had $1,000, I would put it in these 4 stocks and you're going to make this much money. I mean, obviously you need to do your own homework, but how do you know whether what you're looking at is legit or not?
I think one of the ways that you can think about it is, what's the motivation for the person doing this? And I think this is ubiquitous across all of those different, common, sort of all the different jobs that sort of promote themselves, whether it's real estate, whether it's drop shipping, whether it's foreign exchange trading, stock trading, cryptocurrency trading. There's a lot of trading in there. People are selling a dream. And Are they doing this as a way to promote their business because it's advertising? Or are they selling something that if they were really doing it well, they wouldn't be selling? If somebody says to you, I have a flawless stock trading strategy, why would they be selling it to you for $50, $99, $500? If they were making so much money in the stock market, they would just be doing that. If they were making so much money investing in real estate, they would just be doing that. They wouldn't be selling you on a relatively cheap class or course or guru, whatever, to make money. They wouldn't be doing that at all because they'd be making so much money. They would probably be going to enjoy their life.
I love that word
on social media.
I love that word guru. That is like a giant red flag.
I guess they'd be making so much money they wouldn't even have time to do this, right?
They wouldn't need it. So you just threw out a lot of financial words that I think for some people feel really comfortable with those words, but other people might not. And I think our lack of expertise might be where we feel like, oh, is this something I should learn more about? Cryptocurrency. I don't get it. I don't understand cryptocurrency, but it seems like a lot of people are making just an absolute boatload of money off of that. Is that how these people are kind of tapping into our curiosity?
So I think if there's any words that you don't understand, those are things that you shouldn't delve into, and get over your skis trying to figure out how to make money in. If you're not comfortable in an area and you don't understand it, there's really not any reason that you should go and try to invest money in there thinking that it's going to be simple and easy. None of these things are simple, easy. They're complicated. They take time to learn. This is true of anything that's worth doing. To get good at it, you have to spend a lot of time at it. And so people selling you the dream that you can follow for, $10 a month on their Twitch stream or whatever it is, Instagram, and they'll just tell you how to do it and you can make millions. You can make 10% every day. That's not real. And I think the biggest thing that people need to know is that a little financial literacy can help you understand what's real and what's not. Does something pass the smell test? Because if it sounds too good to be true, it is. It's just not easy to make money in the stock market and beat the market overall. It's not easy to make money in the real estate market. If it was that easy, everybody would be doing it and we'd all be really wealthy. This is a career that people dedicate their lives to being good at. You're not going to pick it up in 1 hour a day for a month and then suddenly make millions.
That is so true. Sometimes when I see something that catches my eye, I will look at the comments, Stephen, just to see what people are saying about this. You can learn a lot. People are not dumb. And sometimes you can get comments on there, well, I tried this and it didn't work, or I tried this and you never contacted me, or, yada, yada, yada. But you can learn a lot about that too.
Or even a different perspective of, oh, that doesn't work because X, Y, Z, right? There are a lot of people who are willing to go to some of these sites and make those comments to say, like, let's hold on.
Right.
Let's get a little more perspective here, which is, I think, always fascinating and helpful because I am not one of the social media commenters. I'll read the comments all day long, but I don't actually join in the conversation. Do you?
Occasionally, not very often. And it's just a small comment I might make. But so, Stephen, people that are not asking for money up front, you don't see it up front. What are they after? Are they after clicks or what?
Well, I think certain people, they want to be influencers. There's certainly, a number of people out there who, they want to build a brand. They want to, have another revenue stream, or talk about interesting things that they like to do. But where this crosses over into something that can be dangerous for people, even if it's not a scam, even if it's not fraud, those are out there, believe me. But even if it's not that, you have to be careful about people who are giving advice that they simply don't have the credentials to back up, or they don't have the experience to back up. And I think we've probably all seen people who are teenagers or in their early 20s who are promoting a lifestyle that seems a little bit off, and are sort of putting themselves in a position where they say, I have succeeded doing this, you can too, or here's my advice on how you can be like me. Well, that's a little bit questionable. Even if they're not selling you anything, Are they giving you advice that is backed up by experience and backed up by evidence or data? Most likely they're not. And I think this shows up a lot when people talk about economic situations. And I wrote about something recently where there was a very viral chart that went around. I think even Derek Thompson talked about it on his Substack, that promoted the idea that ChatGPT is responsible for the drop in job openings since 2022. And that's just horrifically inaccurate. That has nothing to do with that. But those charts and charts like that promote an idea that puts fear in people, and they get passed around because they are an attractive, easy, simple idea that people want to believe is true because they're fearful of what these mean for the economy. And it creates damage within our economy. It makes people fearful to spend, fearful to try to switch jobs, and basically get stuck and get worried. And that is something that reverberates throughout the economy that can have real economic impact in our country. And we're seeing the kind of financial nihilism from Gen Z that is exhibited from these factors.
The latest thing I'm reading about ChatGPT on social media is that AI is going to produce more millionaires than anything ever has. So
who knows?
Wow,
is there a chart to go with it?
Yeah, let's jump in on that one.
Yeah, no, but I mean, people look at something that looks official and you go, oh, maybe that is right? So how do you actually determine the real stuff from the total garbage?
Well, unfortunately, it takes some work. If you really want to know what's real, you can certainly try to cultivate some resources that you trust and you believe in. Find people that you can validate over time that they are giving you, a straight up answer and a straight up assessment of what's really going on. Sometimes the answer is complicated, and that's really an unsatisfying answer because we all want something that's going to be simple, quick, fast, and easy to understand. And very rarely is finance or the economy in that category. So going back to the data and doing a little bit of research and simply getting a little bit more educated about how some of these things work, whether it's the stock market, whether it's real estate, whether it's starting a business, understanding what that process is like and talking to people who have really done it can be very helpful and give you a little bit more insight into why some things are legitimate and some things are not.
It kind of makes you feel suspicious about everything. And so wouldn't you think, Stephen, that's not a bad attitude to have approaching
it's a great attitude
any of
to
this?
Have.
Yeah.
You should be skeptical of basically everything you read. And unfortunately, that's not a position that I think people decades ago had to be. But we're finding that, whether it's on social media, a video that you saw, whether it's in even a major newspaper, things that aren't true can be published, even inadvertently. And you have to be aware that doing your own research is one of the best ways for you to stay on top of that. If you have a skeptical eye for everything, then you're going to be better off in understanding and making good financial decisions.
Speaking of good financial decisions, give us a roadmap, a non-viral, non-sexy, super basic, boring financial roadmap to have a really great 2026. Let's help our viewers, help us kind of get ready for the new year and be kind of in a good financial space without trying to have that next quick hack.
So I'll tell you a couple things. One, if you don't have an emergency fund, start one. An emergency fund is the most foundational element of a good financial situation. If you have that, that turns what might otherwise be a crisis into simply an unfortunate circumstance. You don't want to have to go into debt because something you didn't expect, an unexpected expense or simply something going wrong, puts you into debt. So having an emergency fund or building a larger emergency fund, can't recommend that enough. We've got a little less than a month left before the year is over. If you haven't thought about your 2025 taxes, now's the time. We're in the final 2 minutes of the game. If you think about your taxes only in April, the game is over. That's the post-game report when you file your taxes with the US. Think about it now. That might mean that you can make charitable deductions. You can do tax loss harvesting. You can think about many things that can impact your taxes now, retirement contributions, taking out your required minimum distributions if you're older and retired. Whatever it is, think about it now because the game's not over, but it's about to be. And then lastly, I'd say that when it comes to investing, saving is probably the biggest thing that you can do to make yourself a better investor. You can't invest if you don't save. If you don't have enough money to put away into investments, it doesn't matter what you invest in. A little, even a monumentous return on just a little bit of money doesn't matter as much as your savings rate.
I think the emergency fund comment is so important. I've been in periods in my life where I had no money, and now I do have an emergency fund, and it makes you feel so much better about life because it's almost a guarantee if you don't have an emergency fund, something is going to happen.
Absolutely. And it could be the appliance, the air conditioner or whatever.
Matter.
It could be
Your
something
car,
giant.
and then you can't get to work.
Or you need a $400 part for the car. Yeah. And all of a sudden that feels like it derails you.
Yeah.
And it probably happens at Christmas when you're also trying to buy gifts. And it can come up. It's stressful.
It is.
What's interesting is that those things are happening just as much when you have the emergency fund as when you don't. You just remember them much more from when you don't, because you don't have any recourse. But when you do have a fund and you have a little bit of a cushion, it doesn't matter because you've got that right there and you just kind of move on with your life. That's the position people need to be in, to have a little bit of a cushion so that their life can move on. And, it's a bump in the road, not a brick wall.
I know there are a lot of different schools of thought. What do you think a good emergency fund should be?
So, the common parlance is 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. I want to go a little bit beyond that. If you have a single income in your household, whether, that's just, if it's just you're a single person, or it's you supporting a family, you want to err more towards that 6 months. You want to have more because your single income is a single point of failure. If there are multiple income sources in your household, maybe you have multiple jobs, or maybe you and a spouse have a job each. You have fewer points of failure. And so you can skew towards the shorter end of that, 3 to 6 months. Ultimately, your risk tolerance is going to decide that. I know plenty of people who have more than that because they are simply afraid of having some sort of unexpected expense. But when you have very little, if you have less than a month of essential expenses, you are on the precipice of something going wrong and turning into a crisis.
And I'm sure there are listeners and viewers who are thinking, 6 months, I'm trying to save to buy a house.
Yeah.
I can't even afford my rent some months. And, times are just really tough. I'm guessing, Stephen, you would tell those people to do any and everything you can to get that 3 to 6 months savings.
Yeah. I'd say 1 month is the minimum that you want to have. At that point, you can start to sort of split some of your discretionary surplus income into other places, retirement, home savings. If you have no or very little emergency fund, less than that single month of essential expenses, essential being the things that keep you alive, food, heat, healthcare, you need at least 1 month. But beyond that, this is a process. You don't need to have 6 months or even 3 months or even 1 month tomorrow. Just have that as your end goal. Build towards that over time. And the momentum is what's going to carry you forward. If you think, I've got an extra $100 every month that I think I can put towards this, start with $50. Start with less than you have and make sure that you're able to do it over time, because it's the momentum that's going to build this into a habit. If you try to do 100 or more, or really stretch yourself too early and you fail, it's demotivating. It puts you in a position where you feel like, I can't do this. So start small. Start smaller than you even think you could, and just do it longer than you thought you would.
I love that advice, Stephen. That was good basic information. I'm not sure if it's going to go viral, but it should, because that's the good financial information people need to have. Thank you so much for joining us on the On Your Side podcast. If people want to check out Bankrate or learn more a little bit more about you, where can they find you?
So you can go to bankrate.com. That's going to be the best place to find advice from me, as well as all of my colleagues. You can follow me on LinkedIn. That's probably where I post and discuss some of these issues the most. I am on X as well. But that's a world I can't keep up with, to be honest with you. Things are too viral for my very mundane advice.
It's so true.
I entirely tapped out of almost everything. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and Facebook is purely so I can post photos of my kids for my aunts to see, and that's it. I can't keep up either. Yeah. Stephen, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure.
Fun
Thank
conversation.
Thank you, Stephen.
So it was a really fun conversation. And it always, it's kind of a bummer to put it in perspective that there is no way to get rich quick or any of those things, right? Like, I feel like sometimes I'm the Debbie Downer consumer reporter of like, let's just be basic. Let's save slowly and we'll get there. But it's real.
It's true. I mean, growing up, my father, the one thing he said over and over is, you have your education, nobody can ever take that away, but nothing replaces hard work. And it's true. I mean, if you want success in life, I mean, obviously there are few people who reach success really fast sometimes in the business world, but most people would tell you they've gone broke many times. They never gave up. They got back on the horse and they kept going and going and going until they finally did reach success. But nothing replaces hard work, right?
I love that. That's such a good message. And it is such a good reminder. I mean, even I was scrolling through Instagram last night and there was this mom influencer who said, check out my income from the last several months. And it was like September, $120,000, October, $140,000. And she's saying she's earning all of this through just social media influencing, sharing a couple videos of her life every day. I'm like, this is absolute nonsense.
But it does happen with some
every
people.
so often.
Yes.
But like she's telling
but
people,
it's not gonna happen to
she's telling people that this is life.
Yeah.
You can make this happen.
Yeah.
You too can also make $1 million a year just sharing a couple cute photos of the bread you're baking. It's like, come on.
What's her name? I got to follow her.
Right?
Yeah, it's so true. You just the bottom line to all this is not everybody's an expert, right?
So true. Scott, thank you so much for
It's
joining
fun.
me. This was amazing.
Anytime.
And I hope you'll pinch hit with me again.
Any day you want.
The On Your Side podcast is produced by Brad Denny. Our audio engineer and editor is Todd Martin. Segment producer is Colin Stanton. And I'm Susan Campbell. If you have a problem you can't resolve, maybe we can. Send us a message through azfamily.com or our AZ Family mobile news app. Look for the On Your Side section and leave us a message. Thanks so much for listening to the On Your Side podcast. And if you like it, leave us a review. We'll see you next week.
On Your Side is on Good Morning Arizona every weekday morning at 6:45 and 7 o'clock, and every weekday evening on Good Evening Arizona at 4 and 5 o'clock. You can also catch it on Arizona's Family News at 9 on 3TV every weeknight.